awesome to be here with you all today. My name is Tara Reed, and I'm the CEO of a startup called Collecto. I also run a project called Apps Without Code, where I teach non-technical entrepreneurs how to build their own apps without writing any code. What's interesting about the work I get to do every day is that I get to push people outside of a box they've created for themselves based on what they think their skill sets are and what they think their role is. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of us in this room, for example, are SEOs. And so we've created a box containing all of the things that SEOs are supposed to do professionally, all the things we have the skill set to do, and for the most part, we stay roughly inside that box. But not everyone in here is an SEO. Some of us are content marketers or other types of marketers or project managers or entrepreneurs. And still, we create these boxes for ourselves around the types of things that are our job to do professionally, the types of things we have the skill set to do, and for the most part, we stay in that box. So today, what I want to do is I want to break down the walls of these boxes we've created for ourselves about what our marketing skill sets are, and I want to really reimagine what our role looks like as marketers. And I want to do that by introducing you to a concept called engineering as marketing, which probably does not fit inside of your box right now, at least not yet. Engineering as marketing is when you build interactive tools to acquire, convert, or engage your leads. It's a relatively new concept, but most of us are not doing much engineering as marketing on our teams at all. We're building pretty static landing pages, pretty static blog posts, website pages that don't allow our users to have much interactivity at all. Because we've decided, for the most part as marketers, that this engineering as marketing stuff, that doesn't fit inside of the skill set that we have as marketers, and so we just don't explore it. And so what happens on our teams and in our offices is that the marketers are over here and the engineers are over here, and sometimes we work together when we need to. But for the most part, we've decided as marketers that that engineering stuff, that's not the stuff we do. And so we go into our marketing teams, we build marketing strategies that look like this, centered around things that we're comfortable with and things that fit closely around our skill set or our team's skill set. So we focus on SEO and content marketing and community building and email marketing and PR and pay-per-click and social media marketing. But that other experimental and engineering as marketing stuff, that's over there. We're not really doing that right now. And so today, I want to reimagine our role as marketers, take where we are and where we've confined ourselves as marketers, and just see what else is out there. Specifically, I want to talk to you about your plan for engineering as marketing in your own company, because there are really three ways you can go about tackling an engineering as marketing strategy. So number one is that you can use your engineering as marketing strategy for conversion, to have awesome conversion rates on your sites, on your landing pages, on your blog posts, etc. Instead of having a static page, you build interactive experiences, and I'll show you some examples of what that looks like. But engineering as marketing is not just about conversion and converting people who are already on your site. It's also about ways that you can get people to your site. How can we build interactive experiences before people even get to our pages? And number three, you can use engineering as marketing for an engagement strategy. After someone is already in your funnel, has given you an email address, is a warm lead, has signed up for your product, has signed up for your service, whatever it might be, how do you engage them and use engineering as marketing to do that? So those are the three ways we're going to tackle and talk about today. And at the end of my conversation with you, I'm going to leave you with a toolkit that I've built for you, containing my 25 favorite pieces of software that you can use to build your own engineering as marketing plan. What you will find is that none of these tools in this toolkit I'll offer you require you to know anything about writing code. They are all built for marketers or people who don't write code to build awesome interactive experiences, and I'll share that toolkit with you today. So before we jump into details, I just want to talk about why. Why should you care about engineering as marketing? Well, one of the fundamental premises of engineering as marketing is that it is the marketer's responsibility to think about new and experimentative ways to acquire, convert, and engage leads on your site. It's not just the engineer's job, it's our job too. And today, since there are so many platforms out there emerging that you don't need to know how to code to use, implementing an engineering as marketing strategy means that you get to stop begging your engineering team to help with every single campaign. It gives you a little bit of autonomy, a little bit of agency back into your hands as a marketer. It also means you have an opportunity to double conversion rates and engagement. I'll talk to you about some examples of engineering as marketing experiments that I have run myself, where we've doubled our conversion rates by taking blog post content, static content, and just turning it into an interactive experience. And also, you get to differentiate from the same boring tactics all the rest of your competitors are using when you implement a strategy like this. So, as I mentioned, one of the biggest ways to implement engineering as marketing is to use it to convert people who come to your page. Most marketers think about a very static page, a landing page, a blog post, a static piece of content, but I want to show you some examples of people who really nail this engineering as marketing thing. They've got it down. And the first example I want to show you is Moz, who we know and love. So, Moz has a separate page, an entire tab on their website dedicated to free tools for users and new leads to engage with. Open Site Explorer is one of those examples. You put in your URL, and you get a really awesome analysis of your page and some action points and recommendations for things to do to optimize. And Moz is not dumb. They know that this funnels people in and gives them a little sneak peek, a little bite of what the experience will be like when they upgrade to a pro and become a paying user. Another example, HubSpot has a how strong is your website calculator. These two examples that I've just shown you are people building calculators and widgets on their page to engage users in a new kind of way. Crew.co has a really awesome quiz. So thus far we've talked about calculators, but you could also use engineering as marketing in other formats, like quizzes, right? We've all taken a quiz before. This is not scary stuff. Crew has realized that one of the biggest questions their customers have when they come in and want to start building an app is, should I build an app or a website? And they were manually having to, in their project management experience, answer those questions one by one for each of their users, so they did something really smart. They took a question that was a common, frequently asked question in their onboarding experience, and they turned it into an interactive quiz for their users. It creates something really engaging for the customer. They feel like they're taking this fun thing that plops them into a declarative answer about what they should do next. And really, all Crew did was they took a blog post that they had about whether or not you should build an app or a website and the different things you should consider, and they made a copy of that content and put it into a quiz. IKEA does some really interesting things with engineering as marketing. In fact, IKEA has built an augmented reality app where you can pull out your phone and see in the comfort of your own home what your furniture will look like in your house before you buy it. And then they funnel you in to say, okay, now here's the button to purchase it. And if you think that you need to know how to code in order to build augmented reality experiences, you've got that wrong too. In the toolkit that I will give you, I will show you some tools where you can even do this stuff without writing any code. I also want to show you a project that I've launched myself called Art Collecting School. I mentioned that I run an online art startup. And one of the biggest questions that people have is, well, how does art even get priced? I don't even understand anything about art. And how do I even go about finding art in the first place? And so what we did was we took a bunch of blog posts we had, a bunch of content that was just on static pages on our website. And we turned them into interactive experiences to onboard and to offer to our users to convert them when they came to the page. So Art Collecting School was a series of videos and interactive experiences. You first landed in a video about how art gets priced. That was a question that so many people had. And then after you watch that short video, you enter into a game experience where you get to guess the art price, and there's a leaderboard where you can compete against other people, and it gives you real life experience to see if you actually understand this stuff or not. And then after you would experience that interactive experience in leaderboard, you would then jump into another video on what your art buying personality was, how to determine what your motivation is for buying art. And after that, you would jump into a quiz that told you, based on your answer system questions, what your art buying personality was. All of this content originated as a static blog post, but what we did was we turned it into an interactive experience and saw 28% conversion rates on this page, which was much better than we were doing just on our static blog posts. So I want to talk to you about how you tactically build this stuff. If you are a marketer, you're interested in having awesome conversions on your site, but you don't write code, how do you build this stuff? And I want to walk you through some examples of software tools that are going to allow you to do this work. So, first example, lead quizzes. We looked at a couple examples of engineering as marketing with quizzes. Lead quizzes is a tool built specifically for marketers to allow you to do this. Not only can you create a customized quiz for your users and for your visitors, but it also will funnel them through to the purchase of a product and walk them through the different steps. Maybe you have multiple quizzes. Maybe you have multiple interactive experiences, and lead quizzes is a tool that you can use to do that. The interface is point, click, drag, drop, which we all can do. Typeform is another example of a quiz, but I want to talk to you about an unorthodox way to use surveys as engineering as marketing. One of the things that I love to do is use software tools in unintended ways. Has anybody here ever read one of those books where it's like a choose your own adventure book, and you get to answer a question, and it takes you to a different chapter of the book, and then you answer a different question, it takes you somewhere else. You get to choose the outcome of the story. What would it look like if our content on our pages looked like that? What would it look like if you read a piece of content, you engaged with it in some sort of way, and then went somewhere else, and it was a customized experience for you based on your answer, and then you went somewhere else, and each person could have their own journey through our content? How could you hack a quiz to do that? Well, quizzes have built-in logic, right? So when someone answers a question, you can, in a specific way, you can take them to a different question. What if we weren't asking questions, we were showing content like a blog post? Now let's look at some fancier stuff. Motion AI is a tool that allows you to build artificial intelligence chat robots without writing any code. You just set a storyboard, point, click, drag, drop of the different outcomes and conversations this chatbot can have with your users, and you build your own artificial intelligence. So if you want to walk someone through an onboarding experience, you want to welcome someone to your site, allow them to ask some specific questions. You want to walk them through blog post content, frequently asked questions. Why can't we do it in this way? Stencil is a tool that allows you to build your own video games for your users and gamified experiences. And Bubble, which is my favorite platform of all these that I've shown you, allows you, without writing any code, to build your own apps, mobile web apps, yourself with a point, click, drag, drop solution. This tool, Bubble, is really robust. I actually want to show you a little bit more about all of the things that you can do in these types of platforms. And they're relatively new. There's a new suite of tools coming out to us as marketers, us as non-technical people, and it's our job to find them and use them. So this platform, Bubble, has 3 really important tabs inside of the software. The first tab is the Design tab, which you do not see up here. The Design tab is where you just design whatever you want the front end of the interface to look like, whatever you want the site, the app to look like. And you point, click, drag, drop onto the page. There's a Database tab too. So you actually get to build your own fully functional database in this program as well. The database runs on Amazon Web Services. And so you get to define how you want to structure the database. Think of it like a spreadsheet where you get to decide what the headers and the columns are, and you get to reference different columns together. And then there's a workflow tab. And this is where the without code part comes in. Because instead of your app, your mini app, your microsite being run on JavaScript or in any other coding language, it is in plain English. And it literally says, when the user clicks this button, then log them in. And you can get really complex. You can say, when the user clicks this button and these 3 things are true but not this, then log them in, then take them to this page, then save this piece of data. I've built algorithms on top of this platform. So I want to show you an example of a project that was built on this platform Bubble that I'm mentioning. And I want to read to you the introduction to the page. Because what I think it does is it makes an interesting statement about the changing ecosystem of people and types of people who can now build software. And so I want to read to you the introduction of this project. The project is called NotRealTwitter.com. So it says, welcome to Not Real Twitter. Just like Twitter, but worse. A lot worse. The purpose of this site isn't to steal Twitter's business or to give people a chance at a fresh social media start. It is to show the future of software development. Because in 2020, most programmers won't be engineers. They'll be doctors, teachers, farmers, and executives. The person who built this site isn't a software engineer. He didn't use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, etc. In fact, he didn't write a single line of code, and he built it in 4 days. Enjoy Not Real Twitter, built using that platform I just showed you called Bubble. And then it closes with a quick note to Twitter, please don't sue us. So this is just an example that I want to show you. So this is Not Real Twitter. You can create your own Not Real Twitter handle and your own password. You can sign up to the site, and then you land into a dashboard where you can post tweets, you can send DMs, you can retweet things, you can like things, you can change your profile picture, you can see recommendations of people to follow based on similar content that they are posting based on what content you are posting or who you follow. You can see how many people are following you and following you back. All this stuff is dynamically changing. This is a real app. And so if someone can build this in 4 days, imagine the types of interactive experiences, the types of microsites, the types of tools and widgets that we can build for our users on our own sites. So, as I mentioned, you can use engineering as marketing to build tools that convert users on your page. But I want to talk to you about those other 2 ways I mentioned you can use engineering as marketing. Because you can also use engineering as marketing to get people to the page in the first place. Not just to convert them when they're on your page, but to get them there in the first place. Because why do our interactive experiences that we have with customers have to only be on the page? Why can't they happen before the person even finds our page? So most marketers think that the interaction, the engagement, all of this stuff happens when they land on the page. They also have some thoughts about what this whole growth hacking stuff is. And I'm not really sure what you're talking about, Tara, but this engineering as marketing stuff, this growth hacking stuff, that's that stuff that small startups do. I don't really know anything about that. You might be thinking that right now. It is true that there are some overlaps when you're talking about engineering as marketing to acquire users. There are some overlaps between engineering as marketing and growth hacking. And I want to talk to you about the ways that we can learn things from this new space that is growth hacking and implement elements of it into our own businesses, no matter what size of company we work for. And again, I want to show you some software tools that you can use to create awesome interactive experiences for users before they even get to your site or to bring them to your site without writing any code. So I'll start with a simple one that I really love, Edgar, which you can use to schedule your social media posts and not just schedule them, but to repurpose content. So if you've got an awesome blog post, you've got a series of awesome blog posts, you load it up, and not only do you have to load it up once, but it just keeps recycling at the best times. That's starting to create some sort of experience, for example, on Twitter for your users, on Facebook for your users. That's sort of an engagement strategy with them off the site. But how can we take that a step further? Some of you might be familiar with a tool called Socito, which allows you to find leads who are desperate for your product and your service on social media in a new way. So instead of running ads, what tools like Socito do is they look for keywords that people are saying in their posts. For example, for my startup Collecto, which is an art startup, we look for people who are saying specific things like, I wish I could afford to buy art, or people who are checking in at museums. And we use those as indicators that they might be interested in our product. And what Socito does is it automatically engages with them. It likes their posts. If they follow us, we follow them back. And if we choose to, we send them a DM that says, hey, Carla, saw your tweets about art. If you're interested in buying some art on a budget or learning about collecting art on a budget, here's a link to this cool interactive tool that we've built for you called Art Collecting School. So what we're doing is we're creating these interactive experiences off-site that bring people to the interactive experiences that we've built on-site. There are a couple other awesome tools that you can use that sort of fit this hybrid of growth hacking and engineering as marketing. Growth Pup is a tool that finds customers for you on Instagram on autopilot. You can also do some really interesting things around web scraping and finding the right people there. And so you can use engineering as marketing not just to have awesome interactive experiences on your site, but also to bring people to the interactive experiences and have that method of you bringing them to the interactive experience be interactive in itself. So, number 3, I also mentioned that I want to talk to you about ways you can use engineering as marketing to boost your engagement rates. Once someone's already in the door, how do you intelligently engage with them? Many of us use email marketing, use a lot of tools that are always going to be relevant. But there's some really awesome things you can do with tools like Intercom, where you're messaging people at the right time. So let's say you've built an interactive experience like Art Collecting School, where people are going through a series of experiences on your site. You can send them to the right piece of content, the right blog post, the right quiz, the right calculator, the right prompt to upgrade based on where they are in the funnel, instead of sending the same message, SMS message, push notification, email to everyone at once. And you can also surface those messages inside of your app. Many of us know Intercom for surfacing intelligent and time-sensitive messages, time-relevant messages inside of an app. But what does it look like to use a tool like Intercom on your blog, on your regular pieces of content? What does it look like to create a funnel just like we do with products, where the person goes through onboarding, and then they sign up, and then they do these set actions? What if we created those funnels for our blogs? Because this is the post you should probably read first, and then you should go here next, and then you should see this piece of content and then go to this site. How do we funnel people through in an interactive way where it knows where they are and prompts them? And you can do that with tools like Intercom. And if you don't even have the resources, you don't even have an app infrastructure, or you don't even have a sophisticated blog infrastructure where you can put in tools like Intercom, you literally can do this by stringing together a series of Zapier zaps. Zapier is a tool that allows you to piece different software tools together, and so you can create these triggers and zaps when someone does something, then do something else. When someone fills out a form, then schedule a calendar invite. And so if you don't even have the infrastructure to use some of those other tools, you can literally piece tools together like Zapier. And so you can also use engineering as marketing to boost your engagement rates. You've created an interactive experience for someone off-site. You interacted with them on-site with some sort of cool widget that you've built for them. And you keep them engaged using these engineering tools as well. So we've talked about these 3 ways that you can tackle engineering as marketing, which means that this conversation starts to change a little bit. where the marketers are over here and the engineers are over here. It means that there are now tools out there that we can use, everyone in this room can use, to allow themselves to start thinking like a builder. Because we are builders. We build links, we build campaigns. Why can't we build interactive experiences? Why is that outside of our box? Why, when we build our marketing strategies, do we think about SEO and email marketing and social media marketing? All those things are important. But what about that other iterative experimentation that we can be doing with new things? Where does that fit into our strategy? How do we expand our ideas about our roles as marketers and start thinking about some new experiments we can run inside of our team? So, as I mentioned, I have a toolkit for you. I've outlined my 25 favorite tools that you can use to actually implement your engineering as marketing plan. I spoke about some of them today, but there's a much more full list, case studies and examples. And if you want to get that, send me a text. So text the word MozCon to my short code 44222. Everyone get out their phones. If you're interested in case studies around engineering as marketing and also a list of tools you can use to implement it. Build your own microsites, apps, etc., shoot me a text. This talk is about engineering as marketing, but above everything else, it's about rolling up your sleeves and finding a way to get experimentative with your marketing no matter what. It's about not letting your ability to code or not code act as a handicap. And it's about realizing that none of us will truly be successful unless we push ourselves outside of these marketing boxes that we've created for ourselves. Again, my name is Tara Reid. I'm the CEO of Apps Without Code, and I hope I've introduced you to some interesting new concepts that you can take back to your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. We have time for one question.
Let's do it.
I'll ask you one first. Do you think I can code the next Facebook? No, I'm just kidding. So, if there's a blog post on your site that performs well in search and conversions, and if you wanted to make an interactive version of it, would you redirect from the post to interactive version, or keep both versions of forms, content, and interlink?
Ooh, I would keep, so the question was, just to repeat, if you've got a blog post, it converts really well, and you want to bring some interactivity to it, do you keep the original blog post? Do you redirect? How do you handle that? I think you should keep the original blog post and link to it. Some of the really successful examples I've seen of this are they start with a blog post, and at the end, instead of some sort of content upgrade, instead of giving someone a PDF or some sort of static piece of material, you give them your content, your engagement tool, right? So you can put that interactivity at the bottom of the blog post, in the middle of the blog post. It can live on the blog post as well, but I would keep your static content for a lot of reasons.
One more. We have time for one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
In enterprise SEO, engineers are unsung heroes. They build amazing. It's a pretty good question.
Yes.
It's not mine either, but anyway. They build amazing proprietary tools for in-house SEOs, which yield millions and millions for bigger retailers.
Yes.
Long question too, but anyway. How do marketers show those developers, project managers, infrastructure, and QA teams more love?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of ways to show your engineering team more love. One of the ways to do that is to realize that your engineering team is really busy. And there are all these ways, a lot of these things that I mentioned, maybe you have a really big engineering team, and maybe you have an engineering team that's dedicated to helping your marketing team with experiments and projects like this. And so if you have that, you have a slightly different situation where you have to do less rolling up your sleeves as a marketer, right? You already have those resources to build those tools. But one way I think you can show your engineering team love, no matter what size team you work on, is to work ahead on small iterative experiments that are gonna feed back insights to your engineering team about what works and what doesn't work. So let's say we wanna build some sort of interactive quiz or experiment. You take a small segment of your email list, a small segment of your user base, a small segment of your visitors to your site, and you just build a small little MVP, minimum viable product version of what you eventually want to build using some of these tools that I mentioned. And then you get to go back to your engineering team and say, hey, I know you guys are working on product roadmap for this new thing we're building. Here are the things I learned about what people are responding to and not responding to. I thought this was gonna work. People are not clicking on this. Let's try it a slightly different way. So you can work ahead of your engineering team and show them love by bringing them those insights in a really smart way.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Give
all.
it up for Tara.